Hello everyone, Jared here with One of the Nation's Rage. Making another video about my 2000 Honda Passport. The last video I made about this, I changed the serpentine belt out, and I got a lot of views on that video, and I got a lot of positive comments from it. So I decided that I'm going to make another video on a repair that needs to be done to this truck, and hopefully it helps somebody out there that's having the same problem. So today what I'm going to be doing is, if you can see the door panel over there, from what I understand, it's a pretty common thing for these particular models of this truck to have the door handles break on you, and most of the time it'll be the outside door handle that breaks. And this happened to us. Now when we bought this truck, the passenger side door handle would never open from the outside. You see the door's unlocked there, and it just wouldn't open from the outside. So we figured, we'll deal with that. It's a pretty nice truck, it runs good, so we'll go ahead and get it. Well, we've had it for, I don't know, almost a year and a half now, and the driver's side door went out. So that was a pretty big problem. The only way that you can get in is obviously through the back doors. So I'm having to fix this today, and the main reason why I'm making this video, I'll go ahead and cut to the chase. I won't keep you waiting, but in case you need to get this door panel off, there's a few things that you need to be aware of so that you don't break anything inside the door while you're trying to do this. I've already got this one off. I'm just going to show you some stuff on here, and I'm going to fix that one today too. I'm going to fix the passenger side. So I will take you through a step-by-step process of getting this door panel off. But before I do that, I've already got this one off, so I'm going to show you some things. If you're having this problem with your outside door handle, here's some stuff that you need to see. Okay, this is the inside of the door handle, and there's a good possibility that it's a common problem that all these vehicles are having, and it's just the simple fact of the way that it was built. This is kind of hard to show you while I'm trying to hold the camera. It's really something that I need to have two hands to do, but hopefully if you're working on your own truck, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. This here's the lock. Okay, the lock is supposed to fit right here, obviously, you know that. There's two screws that hold this handle in place. And these are the screws that hold the handle in place. They're Phillips head screws, and there's two of them. You can see where they go. You can see that hole just above the lock there. It goes into the handle right there. Okay, so the lock is connected to a rod that goes down inside the door panel, and it's actually mounted to the door handle right there. So this flimsy little piece of metal right here is pretty much what's holding your handle on your door on that side, and then you have one that's mounted. You have a mount right here on this side. Okay, what happened to this handle is the screw that's supposed to go into this mount right here, it came out, which caused the handle to obviously not be connected right, and it was kind of hanging out. And the only thing that makes this, sorry, it's really hot out here. The only thing that makes your door handle work to open the door, you're really not going to be able to see this, but if you look at the tip of my finger right there, you see that little bitty rod that's going through that piece of plastic at the top? That's a little lever, and it lifts up this rod right here. and it causes your latch to open right here, which opens your door. That's the only thing. I don't know if this is a good design or a bad design. I have nothing to compare it to. This is the first time I've ever done this. But basically that little peg, or that little rod, is the only thing that's keeping your door handle on the outside, giving it the ability to open your door. And when a screw comes out, like this screw came out over here, it's very, very easy for that thing to come out. I'll show you. Let me see if I can do this while I'm holding the camera. Maybe not. I might not be able to show you. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. Like this right here, this little rod will come out very easily if this thing, if your door handle is not being held in place right, it'll come out very easily. So what we did in our ignorance, because we didn't really know what the problem was, and we didn't know, I didn't know the mechanics of this thing, is we ordered 2 new door handles online, and I think we paid, I'm not sure exactly how much we paid, probably around $70 for these 2 new door handles, and I don't think we even need them. So we'll be getting a refund on those. But I just wanted to show you that, and I'm sorry if you didn't want to sit there and listen to me talk about this, but I just wanted to explain that to you so you understand. And next I'll be showing you how to get the panel off. All this right here, this is the equivalent to like tar, roofing tar, and it keeps it sealed tight so no water gets on the electrical components, I'm assuming. All you really want to do here is you want to peel this plastic back like I did. Try not to tear the plastic, because you really don't want to take this off. You just kind of want to peel it back. You kind of want to peel it back so that you can put it back when you're done working, just like that. Okay, so just while you're working on it, just try to make sure that this plastic right here doesn't get all bent out of shape or stuck together, because it's important. It's there for an important reason. You don't want to tear it or anything. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and reassemble this, try to get it working right, so I'll know whether or not we actually need a new door handle or not. And hopefully if you can check this out before you order any parts, maybe it'll help you too. Maybe I'll be able to keep you from ordering something that you don't actually need. So let me try to put this together, and I'll get back with you in a minute. Alright, so I got my screws back in, and I did make a mistake when I told you that there's only 2 screws holding this in. There is actually another screw up in there that's supposed to be in there, but we're actually missing it. You can see it right there. That screw right there. You can see the hole where the threads are. That's the screw that we're missing. And so what I'm saying is, that's probably a good reason why your outside door handle broke and it doesn't work anymore. Again, this rod here that I was showing you before, all it does is it goes into this hole right here. It's supposed to fit right up in there. As you can see, it's not in there at the moment. I'm going to push it back in there real quick. Try to anyway. Yeah, I got my hand on it now, but that's what it is. That's what opens the door right there. And it just slides in and out, or ours just slides in and out. There might be some kind of issue that we're having with that as well. I don't think it's supposed to do that. but ours is doing that for some reason. So another thing I wanted to say is if you are missing one of these screws, you might want to check before you put a new part on. You might want to check down here. Just pull the plastic from down here and check down in this space down here and see if maybe the screw fell out and it's down inside the door panel, the bottom of it. Because I mean, you could save yourself a lot of money. Potentially you could. I'm just saying, before you spend a lot of money on one of these Honda parts they cost a fortune. But alright, now as I was saying, I'm going to get to this door next. I'm going to show you how to get it off, and then I'm going to do a step-by-step process of putting it back on. Thanks for watching. Alright, another thing before we get started, another thing you might want to do, just in case you haven't thought about this or you just didn't know, you might want to disconnect the positive end of your battery just to protect your battery. You know, you're going to have your doors open for a while doing this, and you know, just in case, just for safety measures of protecting your battery itself, keeping it from running down, you might want to disconnect your battery. It's a good idea to do that. You know, just anytime you work on your vehicle, it's smart to do that. You should do that. You don't have to do that. I mean, it's not required, but it's a good idea to do that. I'm just saying. Alright, just doing some reference here, looking at the door panel that's already off. Go ahead and tell you that you're going to be taking out a total of 10 screws. I'll show you where they are. And a total of 7 of these, I guess they call them Christmas tree pegs or something like that. You're going to be popping out of the door panel. Just to let you know. So remember, 10 Phillips head screws and 7 of the Christmas tree pegs or whatever. I don't know what they call them, but I know they're Christmas tree something. Alright, I'm going to show you which screw to start with first. You got a screw right here in your door handle. Phillips head screw. They're all Phillips head screws. Okay? So you want to get that one out first. Alright, once you got that screw out, just simply take the handle and pull on it and it'll come right out. Okay, so you want that to be pulled out before you move on. Alright, the next set of screws you're going to be taking out are behind this. If you go ahead and you grab your handle of your door, you'll see that there's a crack right here. There's a seam, and if you take a flathead screwdriver and just pry into that, it'll come on out. See if I can do this on camera just to show you that it will do this. In fact, you could probably come over on this side right here with the door panel being off. And see right there, it just came right out. All I did is I pushed my flathead up in there. Alright, you want to continue to pry it off gently. Remember, you are working with plastic here, so it's very easy to break this plastic, and you don't want that to happen. Alright, it came right off. Okay, so these are the next 2 screws you're going to be taking out. Both Phillips head screws. Go ahead and take those out. Okay, once you get those screws out of this handle right here, go ahead and move down here to where the speaker is. I like to put my screws with the components that they go in, that way I don't get them mixed up. Just a handy tip. Okay, case you didn't already know that. Alright, so what I did for the speaker is I just kind of wedged my screwdriver up in the top of it, and there's a little tab right there that'll come right out, and it pops off just like that. Okay, you've got a set of 4 screws holding your actual speaker in, and then you've got 3 more holding the panel in. Okay, so you want to take all of these out. It doesn't matter what you take out first. It might actually be better to take the speaker out first, come to think of it. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I went ahead and I removed the screws that are holding the speaker in. Don't just pull it out, be gentle with it, because you got these 2 wires right here. Okay, and what you're going to want to do is there's a little tab right here on this wiring harness. See that tab right there? You're going to want to push that in, just squeeze it in, and while you're squeezing it in, pull the wiring out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's actually, if you look inside that little square, there is a plastic stopper that you got to push in to get this thing out. It's really in there, so you got to take a flathead screwdriver and push that in to get it to come out. We'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so it came right out, no problem at all, which leaves you with this here. You're going to want to take this out, so get some pliers and squeeze on the sides of this, and then just wiggle it out. If you don't have pliers, you can probably use your flathead screwdriver to push in on these little tabs holding this in. You want to get this out of here, because as soon as you get this door off, you're going to have an issue with the wiring being caught in this mount right here, and you don't want to damage your speaker wires. You don't want to damage any of your wiring. So go ahead and get that taken out. Okay, I got it out. Now all I have left as far as screws are these 3 screws holding the panel in. I'm going to take those out now. Alright, so we're done with the screws. Now all we have are those Christmas tree pegs I was telling you about. We have 7 of them. They're all around the door panel. Remember, 2 up here, 3 going down this way, about 3 down here. Well, actually, 2 up there, 2 on this side, and 3 down here. That's 7. Alright, so you want to be gentle when you do this. You don't want to pry too hard. They should come right out. The trick to it is, I mean, they make special tools to do this, but you really don't have to have a special tool to do it. The trick is you want to get as close to the peg as you possibly can. That way you're putting your leverage on the peg and you're not putting stress on the plastic panel itself. And that way you don't break the panel or bend the panel or warp it. So you want to get as close to that peg as you possibly can before you start prying on it. Alright, you want to make sure your window is up when you're doing this. But I started right here. I'm assuming this is the best place to start. Okay, when you look down in there, you can actually see where the pegs are, and they're coming out rather easily. So I've got that one out. I'm going to move down. There's another one down here in this corner. Okay, came right out. And continue to do this on the bottom side of the door panel. See, it's coming right out. Okay. After you get the bottom out, just grab the handle, pull up on the handle. As soon as you do this, this plastic piece right here is going to pop right out as well. Okay, by the way, you still have a couple of harnesses holding in. You've got your light right here, your courtesy light, I think it's called. So you'll see this harness up in here. All you want to do, it's got a little tab on it. If you're familiar with these things, you just push the tab in and you pull it out. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so came right out. Okay, the next one is in here. Let me get down here so you can see it. This is the last harness you got to worry about right here. Okay. You want to push this little button in right here. As you do that, you want to wiggle it out. It should come right out. Let me do that real quick. Alright, so there's a little button right there on the tab. Just take your Phillips head and push that button in, and then it comes right out. Okay? Not a big deal. Again, just pull up on it and you'll hear some more of these coming out right where the glass ledge is inside the door. You shouldn't have too many problems getting this thing out. Okay, once it's loose, once it's clearly loose on this end right here, you can clearly see that that the panel itself is loose. The lock is out. You have to get this piece through this hole. This piece through this hole right here. Okay, that's what I'm going to do next. You're going to have to twist the door to a certain extent to get this out. But be careful when you're doing this because you don't want to break anything, like I said. And you're going to have to do some tricky maneuvering to do that. Best of luck to you. It's not that difficult, but you really don't want to force it in any way because you don't want to bend the rod that opens the door. It pulls this little latch right here. There's a rod inside. You can't see it because of the plastic cover, but there is a rod. And my camera is probably not going to focus on it, but you see that piece of metal right there? That piece of brass looking metal? It's not brass. It's just cheap pot metal or something, but it's a rod and it opens the latch right here. Do not bend that, okay? You don't want to bend that. So you're going to have to do some tricky maneuvering to get that out. And as I said, best of luck to you. And I'm about to do that and I'll get back with you. Just be patient with it and you should be able to get it out. Okay, a couple more things you need to know. Alright, in case this piece right here does not come off on its own when you pull on the panel, what you want to do is you want to take your flathead and move it up here into the seam and pop it off. It's got the same Christmas tree peg on it and it'll pop right out. Another thing is if you have power mirrors, you want to remember to take this out too before you pull on the actual door panel. This is just another harness, very easy to pull out. I'm sorry I forgot to show you that one, but it is there. Okay, check as soon as you get it off, check and make sure that this mechanism right here is working. As I said, there's tar all over this stuff. It's very messy, but if you do this yourself, you're gonna save a lot of money, I'm telling you. Okay, I'm not going to do the step-by-step process of putting it back on just yet. I went ahead, and my advantage to making a video about this is that I'm doing both doors at the same time. Alright, so I just put the panel back on this side, this door here. I put the panel back on. Nothing is connected yet except the wiring harnesses, alright? This here is connected. The speaker is not hooked up yet, but that doesn't matter. Okay. this here with the switches, this is connected. This is connected, which you can see I hooked the battery up. So you want to go ahead and hook your battery back up. Just temporarily, you don't even have to tighten it down. All you want to do is hook it up real quick, and you want to test your components. You want to make sure that you've got your harnesses hooked up properly before you put anything back together. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. Alright, so I'm checking my window. My window's working. Okay, everything, all the windows, the locks are working. Okay, be careful when you're doing this with the locks and everything, because you don't want to mess that up. So just be careful when you're doing the locks. Maybe get somebody to hold it so it doesn't get caught right there. Okay. Next thing I'm going to check is my mirror. Okay, my mirror is moving. You can see it moving. So I'm good to go. I can start putting everything back together now. I've got all the harnesses hooked up. That's the first thing you want to do when you put this back on. Alright, and I'm going to do it step by step when I do this one over here. Hang on just a second for that. Alright, now I'm getting ready to put this last panel up and finish up here. But as I said when I was talking about the mechanism that controls the handle outside of the door, just looking at it from the back, looking at the way that it's put together, looking at that right there, and how there's really not much holding that in there, and that rod that you're seeing that goes down to here has a lot of play in it, and that's what broke the door to begin with. So I'm not very happy with that. I think that's a really crappy design. But it's a Japanese vehicle. There's good things and there's bad things about it. So I've come up with a solution, and I'm not recommending that you do this. I don't know how. Some of you might think this is a good idea. Some of you might not think it's a good idea, but I'm going to show it to you either way. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not recommending that you do it. But I am not looking forward to just putting this back together and having the same problem happen all over again. Now that piece up there that I just showed you, if you get a new one of those, I'm not sure if it has like some kind of a grommet on it or something that keeps it in that hole, keeps it from coming out of that hole. But regardless, I don't want to spend that much money to fix something that I can fix without spending any money at all. So what I've done is, you see this, I took some baling wire. Now you could use this, you could probably use a rubber band, you could probably use some string. The best thing to use might be like a little twist tie or a little zip tie or something. But what I'm going to do is I have wrapped this around. I'm sorry if you can't see it that well, but hopefully you get where I'm going with this. I've put it inside of that lever and I ran it around the rod here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lineman pliers here and I'm going to twist it. And when I do that, it's going to keep this rod from moving around. Okay? Let me do that real quick and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so as you can see, I simply just took that baling wire and I twisted it around the rod and the inside of the door handle. Okay? I'm going to show you now that, as long as you can see it, I'm going to show you that with me doing that, this thing cannot be pushed out. It's got this wiring here to hold it in place. It's not going to come out anymore. Alright? It's in there. And I'm going to show you now that with that being done, I've already tested this. I did the same thing on the other door over there that's now assembled, fully assembled, and it works. Okay, so I'm going to show you that this works. This handle here on this side of the truck, it has not worked since we bought this truck a 1.5 years ago, and I just fixed it. Okay, it's working. It has a little bit of a stiffness to it though, because of the wiring that I put in there, the baling wire. It's a little stiff, and that's why I'm saying that I don't recommend that you do that, because I don't know, you know, I don't know how that's going to hold up. I'm gonna test it out, okay? But I'll show you that I did the same thing on this side. And if you do this yourself, I'm going to show you something that you can just expect. It's not perfect, but it does work, okay? But you see there that the spring mechanism in the door handle, it's not working as well now. I don't think that's a safety issue, because I mean the door is latched, it's not going to come open, but the handle's sticking out just enough to be noticeable, you know what I'm saying? But it does work. It still works. The lock still works just fine. Everything works just fine. So I'm just gonna go with that and hope that it doesn't happen again. The same problem doesn't happen again. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started on putting this back together. This panel here. Get your wiring ready. Put this back in place. Hopefully yours didn't get messed up when you peeled it off. Just be gentle with it. It is cheap plastic. It will break. It will stretch. You don't want that to happen. It keeps moisture out of your door. It's there for a reason, like I said before. So just get that back on there. Okay, now that we've got the plastic back in place, pick up your panel. Alright, get your wiring harnesses hooked back up. So you got the one for your mirror, goes right there. You got the one for the switch on the door that goes right there. And you got the speaker down here. It goes right there. You don't have to worry about hooking the speaker up just yet, because you're still going to have access to it after the panel is put back on. Okay, so don't worry too much about that just yet. But you've also got your light over here, your interior light, which is that right there. So you got 3 harnesses you have to hook up, 4 including your speaker, which you don't have to worry about just yet. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've got my harnesses hooked back up. I've got 3 of 4 hooked back up. The speaker still needs to be done. Like I said, you're not worried about that right now. Next thing you want to do, obviously, is you want to get the panel hooked onto this edge right here. There's a lip on the inside of the panel here. Okay, you want to get that hung over the edge. Now there's 2 things that you need to keep in mind. You've got your lock over here. You've got your handle right here. You're going to have to get those to fit through the holes that they go in. And one more thing is that whenever you reconnect the harnesses, you want to try to hear a good click whenever you get them hooked back up. That way you're ensured that everything is hooked up the way it's supposed to be. Alright, I'm going to have to do this off camera. I don't have anybody to hold the camera for me, but just keep those things in mind that I told you about. Getting this hung over the edge, getting these things where they need to go through the holes in the door panel. Alright, let me get back with you. Okay, the panel is back on. One thing I did notice is that you're going to have problems if you try to put this thing on first. Now, you don't want to put it on last, obviously, but you don't want to put it on first either, or you're going to run into some problems when you're trying to get this groove or this ledge up here to fit over into the gap between the window and the metal part of the door. So you want to put this on afterwards, after you put the door panel on. It just snaps in place. It's got the Christmas tree peg on it. It snaps in place. Another thing that I didn't mention is these things all slide out. They're all the same. Even on the back of the door panel, they slide out. In case if when you took your panel off, this didn't come out of the door, say it was stuck in there like that, even down here, just take a flathead screwdriver and pry it out, and it'll come right out. And it slides into this little groove right there, and that holds it. Okay, so just snap this back on. It goes in the top hole there, the one on the left side. Should go right in. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is you want to work on this handle here. You'll see this little tab on the front side of it. There's a little hole right there. You want to slide the tab into this hole just like this, and it fits right down in there. Okay, now before you you tighten up any screws, you're going to want to pat your Christmas tree screws back in. So just apply a little bit of pressure, don't need much at all, along the panel, and it should just snap right back in place. Don't force anything. We are dealing with 15-year-old sun-dried plastic, so you could break any of these things very easily if you try to manhandle it and you try to force it. It's not going to work if you try to do that. Just be gentle with it and take your time. Okay, now one thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to snap this back in place now that I have it where I need it to be. Hang on just a second. Okay, couple things. Before you start putting the screws in, assuming that you've snapped each Christmas tree peg back in its place on the door, you want to check each hole, each screw hole. You want to make sure that every screw hole aligns up, meaning that there's a hole in the back behind the panel that you can visibly see to put the screw back into. You want to make sure everything's lined up before you put the first screw in. Alright, and another thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and hook the battery up real quick. Just slide it back on the terminal post, put your key in, check your lock and your window to make sure that they're working correctly before you even start putting screws back in. It's one thing you want to do. Alright, assuming that you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put these screws in first, the handle screws. This isn't really important. You just need to make sure that you put 2 screws back into that. Alright, you need to make sure that you put 3 screws back into that, excluding the screws that mount the speaker. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, I'm about to run out of battery on my camera, so I'm going to try to hurry up and wrap this up. But after you get these 2 screws in, these 3 screws in down here, remember you still have this screw right here. Go ahead and put that one in. After getting that screw into the door handle, you come down here and remount your speaker. Before you do, you want to hook it back up to the harness. Okay, we are nearly done. We've got 2 more simple things to do, and I believe that we can call it a wrap. Okay, these things simply, they just lock back in place, they snap back in place. You see these 2 tabs right here. You just simply want to slide these in and then push down. These little tabs, they fit into their corresponding grooves on that side, and then just simply push down and it snaps back in place. Last piece, okay, door handle, same thing. You got these grooves here that fit in their corresponding holes, these two tabs here that fit into their corresponding grooves. Just put them down in place and then push, and it should snap back together. Alright, you got these up here, just push down, everything snaps back in place. Alright, now simply go and hook your battery back up. Clean up, and you're done. This is a pretty messy job because of all that that sealant that's on the inside of the door panel. As you could probably tell by looking at the inside of my truck, I got some on the inside of my truck. My wife's not going to be too happy about that, but she will be happy about the fact that she can open her door now instead of trying to climb in through the back seat or something like that. But anyway, just tighten this back up and you're all done. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video, or at least learned something out of this video, and I hope that you return to my channel. I'll probably be making more videos like these because this is an older vehicle and it takes time. It doesn't take a long time for things to break on it, so, and when they do, I'm usually the one that tries to fix them. And like I said, there was nothing on the internet really that I could find that showed how to do this. And like I said, you might want to check out the inside of your door before you spend any money, because it might not be necessary to spend any money. You might be able to repair what you already have instead of buying a new part. So just keep those things in mind and take it easy. Hopefully I'll see you guys around. Alright, later.